Welcome to another edition of Black Press USA and NNPA's FIRE program. And we are bringing it today. We are talking about women and women issues and supporting them and embracing them, entrepreneurship, breast cancer. The first segment, however, I have to bring on really three authors. First, we have the author of an amazing book called Bloom. Her name is Sheila Reynolds. And we also have accompanied by Carmen Rush and Colette. Yeah, we can bring them up on the scene. Ladies, we want you to come and greet our guest, Colette Evans. We are excited to have you on the program. And for many of you, this is the first time on Black Press USA, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're excited. I reached out originally to Carmen Rush after she gave me a copy of the book entitled Bloom. And I know that we'll have some more images to show a little bit later. And she was like, yeah, telling me, Taylor, I wrote a chapter in here. And I'm like, what? So after flying back from Atlanta, I'm going through this and I'm like, Carmen, do you think you and your other authors would be interested in coming on the show? And without question, they said yes. So Sheila, you really began what this discussion's all about. And in reading just a few pages after you get past the introduction and the forward, we learned something about you that blew me away. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I want you to tell them to start off, one thing about you that I think would just blow people's mind away. And I'm going to let you take it away because you do put it in the book first.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what that is. You gave me a tall order, Taylor. I don't know what's going to blow people's mind. But if I can just start off by just sharing that this idea about Bloom came as a desire to celebrate women and to provide a platform to celebrate our evolution. So as I did that, I was celebrating my own evolution, my own accomplishments, and really recognizing that through my failures, it brought my success. And so, I started off my chapter entitled The Journey Back to Me, because I was on a journey in my life where I lost myself. I'm this professional woman who, is educated, love the Lord, just soaring in my purpose and my identity. And then I meet the love of my life, I thought. And at that time, he really was. And I entered into this marriage that, of course, I thought was going to last a lifetime. Like many women and men who get married, you don't expect to, get divorced in your life, especially when you get married later in life, like I did in my 40s. And so when my life began to take a tailspin out of control, I'm trying to, keep it together and trying to make things work, literally finding myself saying, this can't be happening. Everything else in my life has gone so well, and this is falling apart. So I just eventually ended up kind of like spiraling down to accept the fact that this just isn't going to work. And once I did that and went through my grieving process and surrounded myself with a lot of support, professional and personal, then I was able to finally get back to me. So I don't know if that's what you wanted.
Oh, it is. I mean, to think just if you, to think about this, right? You spend your life, maybe not you, but many women thinking of that magical day, whatever that may be, right? Mm-hmm. Finding Prince Charles, whatever that may be, right? You get married at 45, you've preserved yourself, you've held yourself up, you're making good money, you've got money in the bank, you have a car, you own things, you don't owe people, you marry Mr. Right. And within 5 years, everything changes. And I think whether a person who's gone through that exact situation or not has been somewhere where they thought that they're at the top, they have done it. Then one thing slips out and everything appears to crumble, right?
Absolutely.
And to be able to put that in the book, it's so personal. I mean, you don't have to. Yes, it's relatable, but that's still personal, whether you get through it or not, because then you have people sometimes, oh, I'm so sorry. You're like, no, I'm good.
Yes.
You know, and then it brings it back up the memory. But to put that in there, it just made me stop for a minute. I'm like, okay, so this sister's going all out. She's telling what it is to be able to relate. I think also it's important. Can we go from Carmen down as far as talking about your occupation so they can understand why this book is so crucial? It's not just women together writing about what they've gone through, but you guys are professionals.
Yes, we are. And that was the key, you know, because people look at us on the outside. And there is this, you were professionals, we've got it together, we're doing great things in the world. But I wanted to pull back the curtains. I wanted us to pull back the curtains and really help people to see, you know, where we really come from and really celebrate that and let women know, no matter where you are right now or what you've gone through, you know, you can still evolve and bloom. So I'm going to let Carmen and Colette kind of share who they are and anything more they want to share.
And Sheila, will you give us your professional background?
Absolutely. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've been a licensed professional counselor since 2001. And so I've also am an empowerment speaker, and I'm a board certified coach as well. And I've been in ministry for years. I can't even tell you, like 1988, I think. So, you know, just a whole lot of time and investment. Mm-hmm.
Carmen, your professional background?
I am a social worker. I have been a social worker for 25 years now. I'm not trying to age myself, but 25 years working in the area of child welfare and adoptions. I actually met Sheila through my professional work. She was a director at a private adoption agency that I worked with a little while ago. So that's pretty much my background. I've done some leadership type work and have been a social worker case manager that's worked with families and children my whole career.
And Colette?
Yes, so I am an HR professional. I've been in the HR field for 23 years now. I'm also a life coach and a newly wellness practitioner. So a lot of different hats.
So, you know, this is a number one question when I was talking to people. And I know a lot of people may put that as a title. What exactly is the definition of a life coach? And really, when you're looking for one, what question should you ask?
That is a great question. You know, Colette, I don't know if you want to answer it, but, you know, I can start off with it, you know, because I think you make such a good point, Taylor, because right now everybody uses the term coach, you know. And I remember growing, as I was matriculating professionally, we used to use the term social worker often too. But once it became, it became more professionalized, and they were able to provide a credential in that particular arena, then we could no longer use social worker. Only those that were licensed and credentialed as social workers could use that term. That's what has to happen in the coaching field, because as a professional coach, there are things that you learn, and there are practices and standards in the professional coaching industry. And so those are some of the questions you want to ask. You know, what is your training, you know, as a coach? You know, how do I want to say this? The most important thing is, what is your training? And if you understand, if they've gone through ICF credentialing, which is
ICF?
Coaching Federation.
Okay.
You know, that is a credentialing body, you know, that provides standards for professional coaches. And I'm a board certified coach, and that is also a credential, you know, that's through the National Certified Counselors division. So counselors, and it's being credentialed, the same credential that the licensed professional counselors have is what the board certified coach credentials in as well. So there are standards that you have to meet for that coaching credential. And then you have executive coaching, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. So hopefully I explained that in some way that makes sense.
Now, Colette, I know that there may be some things that you add to that. What should people look for when they're looking for a life coach? And that's a big, heavy bag to carry.
That's a broad term. So you need to understand what that coach's specialty is. For me, I run the gamut a little bit because I do have an executive coaching certification as well. And so I utilize that too. So a lot of people come to me for business, but my practice is more about the holistic part of the woman. So the entire woman. I don't feel like you can just treat one little thing. A lot of times somebody would come to me and start out with business, but then we end up going through some of their life situations because everything that's happening in a person's life affects them. So we work through those things and work through their goals and whatever their desires are to get them to that destination or the purpose that they really are trying to attain.
Now, I know that Carmen wrote a chapter in your book, Sheila. So at the end of the day, this book, Bloom, what do you hope or want women to take from this? What do you hope that they leave feeling, knowing from this book?
Is that question for Carmen or is that for me?
That's for you, Sheila, because I'm going to talk about her chapter next.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, I want women to be able to read the stories and be encouraged that regardless of what you go through, because so many of the stories will expose and show the journey from where that author has come from to where they are now. And it's a remarkable evolution. And so what we're showing is that these women have evolved and they are now in full bloom. So I want to encourage women, no matter where they are in life and whatever obstacles they may be facing now, they can see examples and they can hear stories and they can literally see the journey of this really powerful and this really successful woman and how she has evolved. And I hope that it will give them hope and inspiration and encouragement that they too will bloom and can bloom.
And I see Carol had a comment in regards to the book itself. The book is very good and offered a great deal of motivation for the readers. Carol Reed, thank you so very much. There's 20 chapters in the book, and I just want to go over some of the names of the chapters before we hop on and talk about Carmen's chapter. So you start off, as you said, chapter 1 is the journey back to me. There's the beauty of transformation. There's 3 superpowers: think, believe, and affirm. There's the truth chapter, my journey to discovering self-love, an unexpected life, and unexpected blessing, blooming in the midst of loss. There's the perfect love. I'm a diva with standards. Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that one. Yeah. Transitions of a rose. And then there's pretty everlasting, journey to a dream. There's, 20 different chapters. Carmen, you're on page 69, which is chapter 7. Look, chapter 7, blooming in the midst of loss. Can we talk a little bit about this chapter and what you hope people get from it?
Well, initially when Sheila came to me, I had a whole nother idea as far as what I was going to write my chapter about. But then, once I found out that the title of the book was Bloom, and it was so funny because at the time, the word bloom kept popping up in different arenas for me. At that point, when Sheila reached out to me, I had also got offered another job in the agency that I was going to be working for. The name of the agency was Bloom. Wow. The book name was going to be Bloom. And it was a few other little instances I won't share, but the word bloom just kept coming up. And I was like, okay, God, what are you trying to say? I need to be a part of this. And so when we started having our meetings and started discussing the book, Sheila came up with the concept of us all choosing a flower and talking about why we chose that flower. She didn't really give me a whole lot of specific instructions. She kind of let us, roll the way we wanted to with it. But pretty much, I think everybody kind of started talking about how they picked a flower, why they liked that flower, but also how that flower represented them in some kind of way. And so when I began to think about a flower, and how a flower comes about, that you have different flowers. You got flowers that come in different seasons. You got some flowers that need water, a lot of water, some that only need a little bit of water, and you got some that need a lot of sun and some that don't. And so depending upon those different things that are going on, that happen with that flower can grow, it can bloom, it could die. You got some that are seasonal that come back. So when I started thinking about all the things that go into a flower blooming, I decided not to write what I initially thought I was going to write about, but I decided to do like a compilation of experiences that I had went through in life. And those compilation of experiences all came out of loss. And so that's where the title of my chapter came out of, Blooming in the Midst of Loss, because, we look at loss like such a negative thing, but sometimes going through those experiences and going through loss, it builds you, it makes you stronger. And that, and it's the same thing, with the flower, you go through those experiences, you go through those seasons, you get rain, you get water, you bloom. So going through the experience of loss, and I don't want to give away my chapter and talk about everything, but just going through different circumstances in life where I lost, it made me a better person, and it made me grow and bloom into a better me. So as far as what I want people to get from my chapter is that while reading and looking at that, we're all human, we go through things, and kind of like Sheila mentioned earlier, we all go through our own failures, we make some poor decisions, but just knowing that we have within ourselves what it takes to get through it and to bloom through it and be better ourselves, but also relying on our faith as well. And that you don't need another person, another man, another career, another whatever it is to be successful, and whatever successful means to you. Successful doesn't necessarily mean a job or a profession, but just being a successful person mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So just hoping that women can read that, see that, find encouragement, like Sheila said, and also maybe find some coping skills and seeing that other people have gotten through it and that they can be encouraged to know that they can get through those things as well.
I wonder, there's a couple of things that come to mind to me, and there's a text, I just got a text from someone that's listening to the program, and they said, where do the help givers get help? So where do counselors get their help? Because I can't imagine, in the midst of COVID, with all the extra stuff that you have to deal on a personal basis. So where do counselors and life coaches get to go and to get their own, connection?
Through the professionals as well. Sometimes we need our own social workers, our own counselors, our own ministers, we need the same thing too. I mean, it's important also to have your family. You got supports within your family. As with everybody, you can have your professional supports, but you can also have your informal supports as well. But I think the big thing for us is just finding that balance, knowing that we can only be something to somebody else when we take care of ourselves first. And when you don't do that, you can burn out really, really quick. But we have to practice what we preach, basically.
Now, Colette, I'm going to ask you this question because I know that you are going to be a part of Volume 2. You're already in the works of that. But in talking about the professionals and doing this, do you find that using perhaps life coach allows people to feel better about talking to someone? Because I know there's a stigma in the Black community about getting help, about mental health. And I think COVID really opened the door to either people who didn't even realize that they were dealing with mental health before, and people who didn't think, they thought everything was fine. They're like, oh my goodness, I am now dealing with mental issues, because we're meant to be around people and hug and touch and communicate, right?
Right.
So is life coach, is it in a way, I mean, this could be Colette or Sheila, do you think it opens the door for more people to talk about personal things and not saying I'm going to see a psychiatrist or a counselor?
Absolutely. I think it does. But I make sure to let people know that I am not a counselor. I am not a certified counselor. There's a big difference, but it does allow people to open up and talk about what they're going through, and I help them move forward. If I see that they need the help of a therapist, I always suggest that.
Great.
That's really important. And I noticed that now it's not as much of a stigma as it used to be. People are seeking the mental help that they need, and they're not afraid to go to therapists. But I think life coach and therapist can work together.
So Colette, I come to you, and I heard about being a life coach. So what do I need to have when I'm coming to you to help you help me? Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So first, what I do as a life coach is I do a consultation. So like a 20-30 minute consultation. And then if we decide this is what the person really wants and we're a fit for each other, then there's an intake. They have to fill out some information. And so I have step-by-step instructions on what I need from them. I'm going to hold them accountable. I'm going to give them homework, but there are questions that I need them to answer before we have our first session. So I know exactly what it is they want to focus on. That keeps us on task. That makes sure that I'm focused on what their ultimate goal is. And then at the end of every session, I ask, have we accomplished what you wanted to during this session? And we work through whatever those things are, and we recap for accountability, and they're going to get some homework, and the commitment is on them. The onus is on them, but it's really important to make sure that we're fit for each other.
Is this covered by insurance?
Not at this time. Coaching is not.
Okay.
But I'm hoping one day soon it will be.
Yeah. And Taylor, can I add something?
Please, yes.
I think this is a great discussion. And, I had a little brain fog initially, about the life coaching piece, and I couldn't articulate it well. But let me just say this, because there is a significant difference, and it's important, because I think, as Colette said, coaching is not counseling, and counseling is not coaching.
Okay.
And, as it relates to coaching, you come into the coaching industry as a whole and competent person. You're seen as a whole and competent person. And so in coaching, it's not a lot of going back to the past and uncovering and recovering. Everything is forward moving in coaching. Everything is possibilities. When you have a client who may still be struggling with issues from the past and keep repeating things or having a problem moving forward, then that's an indication that they probably need counseling and to go back into counseling.
Makes sense.
Coaching.
Makes sense. Now, for your first volume of Bloom, where can people pick up a copy? Are they still available?
Yes, they are still available. They can go on Amazon and look under Bloom, Stories for Women That Nurture Your Growth and Water Your Soul. And that is a black and white copy. But everybody wants the color copy.
Yes.
And so you get the color copies from the authors directly, directly from Carmen and any of the other authors. You can purchase it directly from them.
Okay. And so now, Colette, you're working on volume 2. What can we expect with volume 2 of Bloom?
Oh my goodness. Volume 2 is amazing. So many powerful stories. And I don't want to give anybody else's story away, but love, loss, like Carmen said, perseverance, revelations. And then a lot of women really understanding what their purpose is and walking into that purpose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you, Carmen and Colette and Sheila, have you had someone walk up to you and say, oh my goodness, I love this book, and tell you how it helped them or affirm something with them?
Yes, I have. I mean, I don't want to give away people's personal experiences, but I mean, and a lot of people come up and be like, I never would have imagined that happened to you. How do you the way that you are? You seem sane. And I'm like, yeah, people go through things. That don't mean that you can't be sane or not, be able to still function. And I think that's part of the purpose of the book, is that to kind of normalize what we go through as people. It's like everybody goes through situations, have circumstances they go through, but they can still be healthy and successful. So, but yes, I've had many people that have come and they just love the book, because it's not something where it's something you can read and you can understand. You don't need nobody else to interpret for you. It's in layman's words, layman's terms, and you ain't gotta go get a dictionary or have somebody break it down or go, it's everybody's able to read it and get something from it.
So Sheila, when can we expect volume 2 to come out?
Volume 2 will be out in October.
Oh my goodness, that's around the corner. No wonder Colette's dancing.
Yeah. It'll be out in October. So pre-sales will begin, and we will have a virtual launch mid-October. So people can join in, they can celebrate, they can hear from the authors. And so just be looking for that. And we'll be promoting that all throughout social media.
I think I'm amazed by people who write books. I really am. But it's got to be something hard, because there's literally billions of books out there. How has the response been in selling your book?
Well, I think when I thought about this project, I realized that it's more than just selling the book. It's about the transformation that women experience in writing their stories. And so for us, it's really just an avenue, to be able to go through this journey and this transformation and bless others that read it. But I think that there is a great passion that people have once they read the book. They want more of the books. The authors initially ordered books a number of books that they thought that they would sell, or but they ended up needing literally twice.
Look at you guys are shaking your head, Carmen and Colette. Like, yeah.
Yes.
So there really is a need for women to collect, and it's kind of great, because you can sit in your home and relate and say, oh my goodness, without anyone else knowing if that's how you want to handle it. And I think you're right, Carmen. You said it's in layman terms. It's speaking to you. It's not trying to speak over you or around you or preach to you. It's your individual stories of truth.
Yeah. And like Sheila said, doing this project was even another level of a healing experience for myself. It's like, once you write it all down and you read it, then you struggle with, do I really want to put this out in the world or not? But doing the project itself was a true healing and another level of growth for myself as well.
Now, Carmen, as a counselor, did you find sometimes putting it out there? Because, we have social media. So, people have opinions and they like to share them because they're behind a name and not a face. So do you find that there's got to be a big fear in doing that, but does it release something within you too, just to put it out there and this is my truth, and to take whatever may come with it?
Oh, a huge positive release. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I sat there and cried over my own story after I was done. So when I say healing, a total healing. So, but it wasn't like a cry, like a hurt cry or whatever, but just being able to release it and knowing that you can give it to someone else and that they're going to get something from it as well. But sometimes you don't realize what all you accomplish as well until you put it down on paper and you read it.
I know that's right. That's a really, really true statement. Sheila, how do you go about, there are billions of stories, women like this, maybe identical stories, believe it or not, we don't know. How do you go about selecting who you put in your book?
Well, there is a process that each woman goes through to become a part of the project. There's an interview process that we take them through. There's an assessment that they, complete. And I think one of the most important things is that they have evolved. All right, because some people are still in the evolution per se, which is fine, which is great. But you have to be at a place where you have evolved enough to be able to write that story, and get to the other side and really celebrate yourself and really celebrate, again, your evolution. Because we don't all the time see our evolution, and we certainly don't all the time celebrate ourselves for our accomplishments.
So again, Sheila, could you please tell us how we can get a copy of Volume 1 and perhaps follow each of you? And then maybe there's someone out here who has evolved and wants to share their story. Is there a way they can reach out to you?
Absolutely wonderful. All those great things. For those that are interested, because we're doing 3 volumes and 3 volumes only. So next time will be it for that. And then it'll be a collector's item. But if you're interested in that, you can go to bloomwomens with an S project.com. And the website will kind of guide you from there. So that's bloomwomens with an S project.com. And then you can just follow me on social media under Wake Up, Rise Up, Live Up, or my name, Sheila Reynolds. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn as well.
Did you say Wake Up?
Wake Up, Rise Up, Live Up.
Wake Up, Rise Up,
live up.
So we have reached the bottom of the hour. So I'm going to start with you, Sheila. Parting words for the women and men across the world that are tuning in right now to the program.
Oh my gosh. I just want to say this. I love, this is one of my, a quote I love. When sleeping women wake, mountains move. All right. So when we awaken, mountains move, because we have so much power and so much presence and so much to give in the world. So when we awaken to that, mountains move.
Colette, some parting words from you?
So my parting words are just basically having a positive attitude and an attitude of gratitude will definitely bring about different opportunities and allow you to flourish in ways you never thought you could.
How can someone reach out to you?
So Facebook, Colette Evans. On Instagram, Ms. Coco, MSCOCO 2472.
Miss Coco.
Colette Evans.
And LinkedIn, that's important. And Carmen, we'll have you close it out.
If you're interested in getting a book, you can get a book through me by Facebook. My name is Carmen Nicole Rush, or either by emailing me at CNT, C as in Carmen, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, 0731@gmail.com. And I would just say, I want every woman out there to believe in themselves and know that they can bloom too through any circumstance or anything that comes their way.
Ladies, Sheila Reynolds, Colette Evans, Carmen Rush, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate you guys sharing with me, Bloom. And I'm sure that Volume 2, I can't wait. We'll have to have you back on for that. So I have to thank you all so very, very much. And I wish you guys a great week. Look forward to checking back in with you when Volume 2 is out in October.
Awesome. Thank you, Taylor.
You are so welcome. Thank you, ladies. Well, now we're going to shift gears just a little bit. We're still talking about women and women's issues, and men deal with it as well. Right now, I'd like to introduce to you the creator, the dreamer. Her name is Raymia Henderson, and she is the creator of Runway for a Cause DC, a breast cancer awareness event. Raymia, thanks for joining us.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Taylor.
So, Raymia, tell us a little bit about you before we start talking about your amazing event that's coming up later this month.
So, my name is Raymia Henderson. I was born and raised in DC. Local girl, didn't move out of the area. I went to American University, and I'm actually by day a program manager for an IT company. And by night, I am a fashion designer, local business owner, So You Want to Sew, where I teach women how to sew, and also executive director of a nonprofit, which is Runway for a Cure DC.
Now, Raymia, this didn't just happen during the pandemic. You've been doing this for how long? That's a lot of hats right there, Raymia.
So I started sewing about 8 years ago.
Okay.
With that passion in 2017, I wanted to find how I could turn my passion into something that was attached to a cause. And so with the passing of my father from prostate cancer, with seeing the rising number of breast cancer occurrences in our area, I kind of attached my fashion with the breast cancer cause, and the rest is history.
So Raymia, listen, you just casually said, "Oh, 8 years ago I started singing. I'm sewing." So Raymia, you don't that there had to you got to make a little connection of the dots here, because I have a third generation. I'm the only one in my family on my mom's side that doesn't sew, but I've designed and did things of that nature. So tell me how this all comes to be. Where did you go to learn to sew? And then how do you go from sewing to, I've seen some of your fashions and we'll show some pictures in a few minutes, but where did you go to learn that 8 years ago?
So 8 years ago, actually, the school that I own now was owned by a woman named Barbara Cranford. And I started taking lessons from her. She teaches a group of maybe 70 women throughout the week. I was on her Mondays class. And so in that class, I just picked up the love for sewing. Some people pick it up and then they go away because it's a little tedious, to tell you the truth. But I just picked it up and ran with it. And when my teacher wanted to retire, she was looking for someone to own the school because, like I said, there was 70 or 80 women who were tied to this school. And most of the women actually know how to sew. Okay. So it's more of like a gathering and a community and in a kind of a space where women can talk about their passions, talk about their family, and also sew along with their other partners.
That's so very, very exciting. So now you have an event that's coming up called Runway for a Cure DC. Can we talk about that?
So, like I said, in 2017, I wanted to somehow bring my fashion, which I now was just head over heels about, and I wanted to give back to the community somehow through some vehicle. And so in 2017, we started Runway for a Cure DC, and along that path, I wanted to find an organization or organizations where I could where I could give back. And so I actually found Breast Care for Washington, DC, which is at 4 Atlantic Southwest, DC, and they provide 3D imaging for women and men who are either underinsured or they are insured.
Wow.
They have a fund called the Rashonda Jenkins Fund, and that fund is there for uninsured patients to get mammogram screening.
Wow. That's
and
great.
So
they're asking for that to be done now. And so I know that they're asking or telling people now, they should be tested earlier than first stated a couple of years ago.
Exactly. So, the rising number of occurrences of ages under 40 is rising. And so I think that, now, medicine has kind of turned the corner and realizes that some of the imaging that was done, they would say, oh, wait till you're 45 or wait till you're 50 even. Right. Now the occurrences are prevalent in 30s, in women and men in their 30s.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring up the flyer that you have, and because it's not just doing a Runway for a Cure DC, you actually have some wonderful guests that are going to be taking part of it. So tell us about the people that are slated for. Now it's called Pink Dreams Are Made of That. August 21st.
So this is our 4th annual, and every year we try to come up with a theme. It's normally centered around pink and white because we also partner with the 18th annual Pink and White Affair, which happens that evening. But our event is called Pink Dreams Are Made of This. It's August 21st, doors open at 2 p.m. It's hosted by Micheline Bowman. Our pink carpet is hosted by Shelly Roy. Our DJ on the 1 and 2s is DJ Casper, and local recording artist Kenny Sway will be. This is our first time having a live performance at the show, so it's going to be really exciting. And then a special guest. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Silver Fox Squad. But they will also be in the house, strutting down the strutting down the runway for the ladies.
So where will this be held?
It's going to be at the Omni Shoreham Hotel, which is at 2500 Calvert Street in Northwest, and that's where it is. It's uptown Northwest.
I have Sands Group Collection. Oh, that's awesome. I should be back from the beach. I will try to attend. How can we donate? Thanks, Sands.
She led you right into that. So everyone can go to www.runway4curedc.com. We have a donate section on our website, and you can also donate through our event page, which is runwayticket.com.
Runwayticket.com. I just saw a comment that came up from Carol from North Carolina. Really interesting question. She wanted to know, Carol Ricci. She says she's in North Carolina. Do you teach sewing via YouTube? That's a great suggestion, Carol.
That's a great suggestion. I should have implemented that during COVID, but we haven't yet. We did go back into the school like midsummer during COVID with limited number of students. But I'm not teaching on YouTube yet.
Now,
Maybe in the year.
You said that you are a designer, Raymia. What's your style? I mean, right now what I'm seeing is gorgeous. But so tell me, is that something you did? Is that?
Yes, I did make this dress.
Raymia, are you serious?
I'm serious. I specialize in women's dresses.
Raymia, we need to talk. That is gorgeous. I love how the red just jumps out at you. I'm a fabric person. So again, I did a little bit dabble into designing and putting fabrics. I just wasn't the sewer, but I just love that. So your clientele are who? Your target
audience? My clientele is usually a businesswoman between the ages of really like mid-20s all the way up to, I did recently a wedding dress for a woman, in her late 60s.
That's hard. Wedding dresses are hard. I already know that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. So basically women's wear, normally special events. So birthdays, weddings, special, showers and things like that. I specialize in that.
So now, Raymia, you sent me some pictures and I'm going to have my producer pop them up. Is that something you created?
Yes.
Can you describe that to me? That is gorgeous.
So the top is basically a silk print with a lace overlay. And then the pants are a double-sided charmeuse with, they're actually culottes. So those are pants.
I would have never guessed it. I am loving the movement that I can see with the two-tone and that appears to be the satin or shantung fabric. That is gorgeous.
Yes, and that's actually one of our breast cancer survivors. So breast cancer survivors walk in our show.
Okay, so all the models.
Not all the models, but a subset of the models are breast cancer survivors. And we do it for them. They look forward to this event. We've been, in their lives for 5 years. It's the 4th annual because of COVID. We couldn't do 2020, but it was, they look forward to our event every year.
Is that something you made here too?
Yes, I made that too.
Okay. I love a designer that wears hers. Okay, so who is this? Oh,
these are the survivors.
Oh my goodness, this is beautiful.
So in 2018, we did our first annual brunch for survivors. And so these were the ladies that came out to share with us. And most of them walk in the fashion show. There are a couple of my board members there in the picture as well, but all of these ladies have become like
the age gamut. I see a mixture of ages. Oh my goodness, young. I mean, it runs the gamut.
Yes. Yep. And we have some other blood cancer survivors and other survivors of other cancers as well who walk in the show.
So now this show allows you to do what, Raymia? Once the show is over, what does it help you to provide resources for?
So once the show is over, I am also on the board at Breast Care for Washington, D.C. And so I do, selfishly, I donate a portion or the proceeds of our fashion show to Breast Care for Washington in the name of Rashonda Jenkins in that fund that I told you about, where it's there for women or men who are uninsured. So we donate our proceeds to that. And then during COVID, we actually came across a young lady who was struggling to pay some of her financial commitments. And we paid 1 month's rent for her until she could get back on her feet and get employed. So our proceeds, one, they go to that fund to pay for mammograms, and two, we try to meet women at their, wherever they are financially, because sometimes they're just trying to figure out whether they're going to pay their light bill or whether they're going to pay, for treatment, especially if they're underinsured or not insured at all.
Who are we looking at right now?
So this young lady, actually, so where we had the brunch, the young lady there in the middle, she was kind of timid and didn't want to come in. She thought that she would be infringing on our event, but we were like, no, she had just come from chemo. So she was a little tired, but we wanted to welcome her in. And so minutes later, she came back and she was like, can you guys come out? And so we came out, and she was like, I make these shirts and I want to donate these as door prizes to your event in August of that year. It was 2018. And so she came in, she gave us these, we raffled them off as door prizes at our event. And, it was just the most touching thing. And then the folks alongside me here are my board members, Michelle Brathwaite, Lawrence Brown, and Coco Gatlin.
So tell me about your mission for, this is oh my goodness, look at that colorful dress. I could see myself wearing it. That was gorgeous.
I made both of those. And the fund that I told you about is in honor of the young lady who was standing next to me who did succumb to breast cancer a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's just so real. I mean, everybody knows someone who's been touched by this. And so what is this here?
This is actually, so this year, that particular year, Easy Street from WHUR hosted the show. And he was talking to the breast cancer survivors who were a part of the show that year. And so all of them, minus I think Vonda in the pink, in the second pink, she volunteered, and then the other young ladies ladies in the shot, they walked in the show. And so we have 2-time breast cancer survivors, we have metastatic survivors, and the young lady with the mohawk standing next to the young lady at the end, she has blood cancer.
And now I will tell you, Raymia, I really haven't heard a lot about blood cancer, but that has got to be serious.
Yes.
Look at this.
So all of those were made. Well, 2 of the dresses, the green dress, the dress that Rashonda is wearing, and I made those 2, and then the one on the end was made by my hairstylist actually. And so she donated some of her time to help me out with the show that year.
That's just breathtaking. I know that there's a lot of organizations out there helping women and family and men that are dealing with forms of cancer. This is my first time hearing about Runway for a Cure DC. And I think it's so amazing that there are people like you, that you have your 9 to 5, but you still find a way to give and help others, because I don't think there's enough resources. As much as people want to think that one organization, big name or not, can cover it all, there's so many things. And you talked about just a few minutes ago, Raymia, of really meeting these women and men where they are. You're not just saying it's just for one thing. You're trying to help where you can with what you can.
Exactly. And this Saturday, we're doing a walk across Woodrow Wilson Bridge. We're saying that Runway for a Cure DC is taking over the bridge. So
what time? Oh my goodness.
7 a.m. on Saturday. So
what time?
7 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, well, that's
So-
the best time. No traffic, right? So how do people register for that? That is going to be exciting.
Just come. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. The survivors are coming out. I do have a Facebook event out there for it, but just come. It's not on Eventbrite. We'll have survivors. We have friends, sponsors, a group of guys who just want to come and support because either they've had wives who were affected by breast cancer or
Sure,
some
yes.
family member. But yeah, we're having that walk. Runway for a Cure DC is taking over the bridge Saturday at 7 a.m.
Now that is a really interesting thing. 7 a.m. You've got COVID. What made you honestly decide to do that?
Honestly, COVID-19, you know, the pounds that they say you put on.
Yeah. Hello. Yes. Yes.
I actually have put on those pounds, and I started walking the bridge maybe about a month ago. And I wanted to just find a way for us to do kind of like, not really a team, I wouldn't call it a team building exercise, but it's sort of a team building exercise before we ramp up for the show. So most of our survivors are really healthy. They're working out. They're doing all sorts of things in their own personal lives, health-wise. And I know that they are basically, you know, they gravitated to anything health. They're like health nuts. So when I said, let's do this walk, they were like, of course. So they're coming out. Our team is coming out. Other people who've helped along the way. Models and their moms are coming out. So it's going to be a fun time.
This is exciting. So I'm going to have my producer, Norman, if he can put up your flyer one more time. And if you would, Raymia, would you, again, it says the date, which is August 21st, but if you, I think it's at 2:00, but if you'll, once he puts the flyer up, if you'll let them know where they can go, if they want to donate. Of course, you know, this program is national and international. So if people want to give or find some way to take part, perhaps they can see this and be able to contribute. This is the flyer. And so again, tell us the information for those who may want to take part.
So the 4th annual Runway for a Cure DC, Pink Dreams Are Made of This, is going to be taking place at the Omni Shoreham Hotel. That's at 2500 Calvert Street in Northwest DC. Doors open at 2:00, and that's August 21st. And that's about it.
All right. And so where can they go to give if they want to donate?
So you can get tickets if you'd like to attend in person at runwayticket.com. There's also a ticket there for donations on that site, but you can always go to our main site, which is runwayforacuredc.com.
So now the question that many people will ask, so it's COVID. So tell us the procedures you have in place to make sure, because especially since you have breast cancer survivors and current patients, I know being safe is important to you and everyone there.
Exactly. So DC does have the mandate for masks, so everyone will be masked up. But we're taking like extremely, rigid precautions backstage with the models in terms of how they'll be serviced with makeup, how many people will be allowed backstage. Once the designers show their collections, they'll be basically moving out of that back room so that there aren't a lot of people there. And in terms of our audience, we'll be attempting as much as possible to seat people who are together, and then make the adjustments on the seating arrangements in the room.
So you know what? I am sitting here thinking that it's showcasing just your line, but you said designer. So why don't you just take a second to kind of walk us through what we can expect once we walk through the doors? So we actually are able to buy things off like they do in New York?
Yeah, so we do have vendors. So we have 10 vendors ranging from, the boutiques that are actually walking, showing their things in the show. We have other boutiques, jewelry. We have the pink carpet host that we showed earlier, where people can get on our pink carpet and be interviewed about, what breast cancer means to them. Are they supporting any of the designers or the models in the show? We have three children designers in the show this year. One designer is what's her name? I'm sorry. Zoe Sodit. She is like 7. We have
What?
another young lady who is 8. We have another young lady who is 16, and they are killing it. They are, they are making things from scratch. They're not, they're not like upscaling or upcycling, things that are already made. They're actually making things themselves from beginning to end. And that's awesome. We have local designer Flower Bomb. We have who else? Oh, we have Miguel Wilson down at the National Harbor.
I know Miguel. He's awesome. Oh my goodness, he dresses all the stars and the local ones too.
Right. So the Silver Fox Squad will be walking with him, and they'll be walking with one of the Silver Fox Squad, who also has his own bespoke shop for men around the corner in Upper Marlboro. So, and his name is Michael Johnson. And then we have Filippo, Clothed in Ivy, Island Fashion Lounge, King of Pressure, which is lifestyle brand, and myself, and also Etique Fashions, which caters to curvy women.
So now, what's your line? What's the name for your line?
Oh, my line is called The Rebirth of Style. You can find me at therebirthofstyle.com. On Instagram, I'm The Rebirth of Style. On Facebook, I'm The Rebirth of Style. And it's AKA Tross.
Now, have you had, was there any reservation after 2020 of holding this event here? Because, this thinking of people getting back into, there's still a need. People are still going and getting chemotherapy and still needing assistance. So whenever you stop, it prevents someone from perhaps getting help that they would not otherwise get. So was there any second, thought about doing it this month?
It is, and especially once COVID numbers started to rise, we were very concerned. We did send out statements to everyone saying, if you're not comfortable, we understand. We're going to be taking these precautions, and we sent the list of COVID policies for the show out to everyone. So we definitely, we did second guess it even before we started planning, but we do partner with the Pink and White Affair, which has its annual event there. And their event is actually right after ours. It's the same location, same venue. Their event starts at 8:00. Ours ends at 6. And so if you want to come to our event and go and see, I think it's Dave Hollister and Big Daddy Kane after us, you could do that too.
That is exciting. Well, I am really thankful, Raymia, for you sharing this information. Really excited. And I love fashion, and I absolutely love giving to those in need. I've done a number of programs with breast cancer and breast cancer awareness. And this is the first time I'm hearing of it. So by the way, Renee Kelly, thank you for connecting us and just sharing the information that you have. It just looks beautiful. Is there any way that people can see it virtually after the fact? Whether streaming it afterwards? Because I know
we are recording the event. I am in the process now that they have the mask mandate in search of a live streamer. Good.
I think this is wonderful. Raymia, so very happy for you. So Runway for a Cure DC, a breast cancer awareness event, August 21st, 2 p.m., Omni Showroom. Where can they get tickets one more time?
www.runwayticket.com.
All right. Any parting words before we go?
No, I'm just so elated about the invitation to talk with you. So I really appreciate it.
I'm really, really excited. And is there any particular financial goal that you're hoping to reach with this year's fundraiser?
We are hoping to reach $10,000.
All right. So we're going to claim that $10,000. All right. We're going to claim that. And so the vendors hopefully are able to get what they need to get. And then the families that you're and individuals that you're helping. Again, Raymia Henderson, founder of Runway for a Cure DC. And your line one more time.
The Rebirth of Style. So
the Rebirth of Style. I just love it. Again, thank you so much, Raymia, for joining us. Well, that is going to do it for today's edition. We talked about counseling. We had the authors and co-authors of the book Bloom, and you know where you can get your copy. And then again, August 21st, it is Runway for Cure DC by Raymia Henderson. August 21st at the Omni Showroom, 2 p.m. Again, Raymia, thanks so very much. Everyone, until next week, God bless and goodbye.